All right, welcome to 2022. So, the first video that we will debut here in 2022. If you are buying a house this year, the 5 things that you need to do right now as the journey begins in your home buying process in 2022. This is Steve, real estate agent with the Malone Realty Group at eXp Realty. Uh, Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for clicking on this. So let's get right to it because obviously this is still a crazy market coming out of late 2021, going into early 2022. Not a whole lot of homes on the market. There's still a bunch of buyers. Rates are still good, so it's a very competitive market. So if you have not been in, and you want to get in, you want to jump in, you want to get that house, 5 things that you need to do to get yourself prepared and get yourself ready to jump in, because we don't just jump in the car and start looking at houses and kind of figure it out. There are some steps that we would like to go through right now, for our buyers so that they know, what to do going forward, and it makes it a smoother process because it's going to be a crazy process. Let's make it a smoother process going forward. So 5 things. The number one thing you need to do, you need to get with an agent and talk about the process. So that's the first thing we like to do with our buyers is we sit down with them and we have what's called a buyer consultation. We go over everything. We talk about the due diligence period. We talk about earnest money. We talk about the inspection. We talk about appraisals. We talk about all the steps that you go through. What we're looking for when we're looking at houses, things like that. Because the how we look at houses and how we buy houses is changing and has changed over the last several years. We like to update. Even if you've bought in the past, great. If you haven't bought a house in the last 5 to 10 years, yeah, things are a little different now. So we like to at least have the conversation and then have a longer conversation about what you want. Talk about that more in just a second. But the first thing you want to do is you want to sit down with an agent and say, let's lay out the game plan, what you're supposed to do. The number 2 thing you want to do is you want to get pre-approved. That's part of the game plan that we'll talk about. But you want to get pre-approved with a lender, preferably a local lender. It's just going to make life a lot easier on you, jumping through the red tape and all the hoops that come with getting a loan with local lenders, and they can get the rates just as good, if not better, than some of the bigger banks. But why do we do that before we find the house? We talk to people all the time who say, well, I'm going to find the house, and if I found the house and I like it, then let's go. Then we'll get the loan. There's no point in even looking at a house if you're not going to be ready to buy the house, because things are moving that fast. If you look at a house and you think to yourself, this is the perfect house, all right, let's get the ball rolling. It's too late. If it's the perfect house for you, I guarantee it's going to be the perfect house for somebody else. And you're going to miss out. If you put in an offer without a pre-approval, it won't even be looked at. Not only will they not say no, they won't even look at it. So we need to be pre-approved when we put in the offer, number 1. Number 2, the other thing is, we're not trying to just get the number of what you can afford. We're trying to actually find out what your buying power is. You may actually be able to afford, because the rates are so low, you may be able to afford more house than you think you can. You might think that with what I make and whatever, probably only afford 250. You may look at the numbers and say you can get a 275 or 300, or 350 to 400. 450 to 500, things like that. An extra $50,000 makes a lot of difference in this market. So we want to find out your buying power. We want to find out all that stuff before we get out there. So that's number 2. Number 3, we want you to come up with your top 5 list. Seems weird that we're talking about top 5 list within a top 5 list. But stay with me here. We want the top 5 things that you're looking for in the next house. Yes, it's really cool to go look at houses. Yes, it's just like on HGTV. Yes, it's really neat and everything. We are looking for your house, though. So that's the thing you want to keep in mind. At the end of the day, if you go out and look at 50 houses, I guarantee you, once you get to about house 20, they all start looking the same. They all have 4 houses and a roof, and it's starting to drive you crazy. So let's figure it out early on. Exactly what are we looking for? What do you want in the kitchen? What do you want in the master bathroom? What do you want in the foyer? How big of a yard do you want? How sloped of a yard can you handle? How big of the yard? The other bedrooms, how big do they need to be? How many do I need? Where do they need to be situated within the house? What kind of flooring do I want? What kind of color walls? If it has wallpaper, will it drive me crazy? Do I need a 2-car garage, 3-car garage? All these things. Everybody has a top 5 list, and typically there's 2 non-negotiables. Some people say septic tank, not going to happen, which knocks out some houses without even having to go look at it. If you know that you're not going to buy a house with a septic tank, there's no point looking at a house with a septic tank. Makes sense. So if that's a non-negotiable, keep that too. So we like to have 5 must-haves and 2 non-negotiables. Make that list and have it before you go out. And then we're going to look back at it as we go, because it's going to change. Because when you start looking at houses, you think to yourself, I was really hung up on, something in the kitchen, but man, it's really a big deal if I have 2 sinks in the master bathroom versus 1. Because if you're a married couple and you only have 1 sink, sometimes, somebody punches somebody in the head in the master bathroom because there's not enough room. I know that's what would happen with my wife. I would get punched in the head because I don't keep my side as clean as she keeps her side. But that's neither here nor there. That being said, as you start looking at houses, things are going to change. So keep that list, keep it updated, keep it fresh in your mind, because what you want to think about in this market is if it has all the things that I want and it's in the right price range and it's in the right area, maybe is this the house that we need to move on? All right, so that's why you have that top 5 list. You keep it all. Yes, it's an emotional thing, but this is also the purchasing of an asset, or the purchasing of something that's going to go up in value and something that is going to be important for you in building wealth over time. So be smart about it. Try and be as unemotional as possible ahead of time. There's going to be some emotion involved, but try to involve some unemotional parts to it. Come up with that top 5 list. Number 4. All right, so again, find the agent, talk to the agent about the process. Lender, get pre-approved, find out your purchasing power. Number 3, come up with that top 5 list. Number 4, where are you going to move? Get that nailed down. Okay, find out where you want to move, put it on the map, and say, I want to be either 20 minutes from here, or I want to be within an hour drive of here, or I want to be by my family within 20 minutes of my family here. Know where you want to go. Very important, because if you want to be near your family in Sewanee and you want to be within 20 minutes of your family in Sewanee, a house in Loganville is not going to help out, okay? Unless you drive really, really fast. Anyway, that being said, you're not going to get from Loganville to Sewanee in 20 minutes. That's not going to make sense. Know where you want to live. Now, if we start looking at that area and we need to adjust from there because we're not finding what you want, that's a different story. But in the beginning, let's not look in Loganville if you want to be within 20 minutes of Sewanee. Know where you want to live. It's a very important piece, and it's going to make things a lot easier on you. That way you know what's out there. That's number 4. Number 5, you're going to have a mental check going into this, okay? So you're going to take, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to be ready, because multiple offer situations, they are coming. If you go in there and it's the perfect house and it's the perfect price and the perfect area, you, I promise, are not the only one who thought that. You're not the only one that thought that in the last 2 minutes, okay? Because everybody's looking for houses. There aren't enough out there. They're going to make a move. So mental check is number 1, you know that you're going to be in for, multiple offer situations. So you got to be ready to be in that situation. There's not a whole lot of time to think about it. We're going to have to make a move. So that means that, so number 1, be ready to put in an offer. There's not a lot of time to make decisions. Be ready to put in an offer. Number 2, you want to think to yourself, there's really, there's going to be situations where we're going to have to give a little bit. You may have to overpay. All right, take that back. You're more than likely going to have to overpay for the perfect house. If it's listed at 300 in an area where everything's like 300 and there's 40 offers on the house, it's going to go for 320, 325. It could appraise higher than that, but, or not quite to 320, 325, that's neither here nor there. We're trying to win the bid. We're trying to get this house. You may have to go high on the contract offer. Just be ready for that, okay? And you're going to have to go quick, okay? So keep that in mind. The other thing is you're going to have to potentially, waive certain things. Now, there are some agents who are allowing their buyers to waive inspections. There are certain things that I'll waive. There's certain things that we can tighten up and whatever. I am very much not a big fan of waiving inspections. Yes, it's a crazy market. If you're waiving the inspection, you're asking for a lot of trouble and you're asking for a giant headache down the road. And I'm not a big fan of that. It's your house and you can do what you want. And that's what I tell my people. But to me, I'm not waiving the inspection. What I'd rather do is we can say, we can tighten the window, the due diligence window, which that's the amount of time you have to look at the house from, 7 days down to 4 days or 5 days. We can get an inspector. We've got great inspectors we work with to get out like that. And we can get them a list. We can even say we're going to buy it as is with the right to inspect it. We can do that. Bought houses as is with the right to inspect. We did the inspection, and there was an electrical box that was like measuring at 200 degrees. Okay, when the inspector went out there, the electrical box was getting ready to burn the house down. And we went to the seller and said, look, I know we said as is, but if we walked away, you're going to have to fix this electrical box anyway. And we were able to work it out to where they fix the electrical box. So even if you buy it as is, that does not mean that they won't fix something catastrophic. It just means that if there's something minor wrong with the house, we're not going to be crazy about minor stuff with the house. So that's a way that we can go around doing it. So there's things that we can give. Be ready to give a little bit. Be ready to give on, the closing date. We have to push it back a little bit, or even allow for a temporary occupancy. Let them stay there for a month for free as they look for their next house. Things like that. Other people are offering it. Yes, that stinks. I'm not a big fan of that, but that's an acceptable thing. There are certain things that I'm not a fan of, but if we have to do what we have to do to get the house. Waiving the inspection completely is out of the question. And we'll talk too about appraisal contingencies and financing contingencies and things like that, because those are things that people are waiving too, which I'm not a big fan of unless it's structured right. That's a deeper topic for a deeper day, or for another day, I should say. So again, the top 5 things, if you're buying a house in 2022, top 5 things that you want to do before the process is going. Number 1, find your agent, have the talk with them. Number 2, find your lender, pre-approval, get your buying power established. What are we going to buy? Number 3, top 5 list of everything that you want in the next house. Okay. Number 4, you want to have, the idea of where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? We're not looking at Loganville if we want to be near Sewanee. Okay. Number 5, you gotta have that look yourself in the mirror. You have to say, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're buying a house. Okay. In this market with everything crazy, you're gonna have to have the mental check. Talk to yourself. Be ready. We're going after it 2 feet in. Okay, there's no putting our toe in, seeing does it see? Not that market. It's rock and roll market. So have that mental check. We're going in. We're putting in an offer. It's going to be a super strong offer. There's a lot of people out there that have missed out on offers, so they're bringing super crazy offers, back the Brinks truck up type offers. So that's the market you're coming into. Can you win? Yes, we've been winning for our clients all year. But are we going to have to bring it? We're going to have to bring it. So be ready. Have that mental check. Once you have those 5 things done, then it's off to the races. Let's get that next house in 2022. And if you want to talk about it, you want to talk about your next house, give me a call, 470-233-4409. This is Steve. Happy New Year from the Malone Realty Group. Take care. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.